friends. My name is Robert Weissman. I'm the president of Public Citizen, here with a coalition of organizations to demand the U.S. Chamber of Commerce drop their lawsuit, aiming to protect Big Pharma and their right to price gouge the American people. I want to tell you a brief story. In 2003, the U.S. Congress passed a law so that Medicare would provide coverage to seniors needing pharmaceuticals. That was a good thing, except it was the most corrupt deal in modern American history. Big Pharma got a provision inserted in that deal that said although Medicare was going to buy the drugs, it couldn't negotiate the prices of the drugs it was going to buy. The single man who was most instrumental in negotiating that deal was in Congress, negotiated the deal, left Congress, and became the head of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, Big Pharma. That's what we've had for 15, going on 20 years. It's cost the American people hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars. As a result of Big Pharma's price gouging, 3 in 10 Americans ration the medicines they need. We hear about socialism in other countries and the worries about rationing, but in the United States of America, 3 in 10 Americans ration the drugs they need. That ain't right. They let themselves get sick, sometimes they die, or they suffer unaffordable payments to stay alive or avert suffering, all because of Big Pharma's price gouging. Now, in the Inflation Reduction Act, finally Big Pharma's power was overcome, a little bit. And Congress said, okay, Medicare, we'll let you negotiate some drugs, the price of some drugs. That modest measure will save the American people, taxpayers and consumers, $100 billion over the next decade. Not enough, but a great victory against Big Pharma and the most corrupt deal in modern American history. But now comes the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the drug companies. They're filing lawsuits, this is one of them, saying, hey, no way, we have a right to price gouge you. We have a right to monopolies. You can't control us. What are they saying to defend their ridiculous prices? To defend the claim that Medicare can't negotiate? Let's look at it. Oh, here's one. The process isn't fair. It's not fair for Medicare to require negotiations. The process is unfair. This is the industry that corrupted the Congress in the worst deal in modern American history, now complaining in their lawsuit that the process isn't fair. Let's see what else they say. Oh, look. First Amendment. They say Medicare having the right to negotiate prices violates their First Amendment rights. What? Yeah, their First Amendment rights. They say we have a right to say anything about private negotiations that go forward. As it happens, when Big Pharma engages in price negotiations, they never let parties talk about prices. But they say they got a First Amendment right, and giving them, having private negotiations violates their First Amendment rights. What else do they say? Check it out. Oh, look, separation of powers. Congress authorized Medicare to negotiate prices, but Big Pharma and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce say, oh, you didn't give specific enough instructions. We have to have the most detail possible, otherwise it's not fair to us. But you know that if Congress had given more specific instructions, they would have said, oh, it's too specific, not fair to us, violation of our rights. Well, here's the bottom line. There is no constitutional right for Big Pharma to price gouge us. That's right. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce claims to represent small businesses. Small businesses are paying the price for high drugs. They claim to represent the interests of the broad American people. 3 in 10 Americans are rationing their drugs. Why is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce opposing the interests of small business? Why does the U.S. Chamber of Commerce oppose the interests of large businesses that are being price gouged? Why does the U.S. Chamber of Commerce oppose the interests of the American people? Because the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is shamefully fronting for Big Pharma, the only companies that have any interest in overturning this law. Well, we're here today to tell Big Pharma, not gonna let you get away with it. We're here to tell the Chamber of Commerce, not gonna let you get away with it. When I say U.S. Chamber of Commerce, you say, drop the suit. You got it? U.S. Chamber of Commerce!
Drop the suit!
U.S. Chamber of Commerce!
Drop the suit!
U.S. Chamber of Commerce!
Drop the suit!
You shouldn't have to ask. They should be embarrassed to have filed it in the first place. But we're going to win. We're going to win in the courts. We're going to win on the streets. This price negotiation is going to go forward. It's the beginning, not the end, of getting Big Pharma's price gouging under control, making sure medicines are affordable for everyone who needs them in this country. Now we're going to hear from three people who are going to talk about how price gouging from Big Pharma that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is defending affects them directly. They're each going to introduce themselves. When they finish, we're going to talk about these petitions and present them to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Laura, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm not quite as loud, but I will do my best. I'm Laura Marston. I'm 41 years old from Washington, D.C. And I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 27 years ago at age 14. I've been on the same insulin, Humalog, by Eli Lilly Company, since I was diagnosed, and nothing about the insulin itself has changed. But since my diagnosis, Eli Lilly has increased the price for a vial of my insulin. But since my diagnosis 27 years ago, Eli Lilly has increased the price for a vial of my insulin from $21 to over $300. And that vial costs Lilly less than $5 to make. So in order to obtain the insulin I need to stay alive, I've given up seemingly everything. I've sold my car and all my possessions twice. I've cashed out my 401k, run up credit card debt, been on multiple payment plans, and borrowed money from my parents' retirement savings. I hoard insulin vials in the fridge of my small apartment, and in the past, I've used expired insulin and limited my food intake to conserve insulin. And I'm one of the lucky ones because I'm still here. So why? Why has Eli Lilly increased the price of my insulin by over 1,200%? Why has the increase in insulin's price outpaced even health inflation by over 800%? And the answer is because without insulin, I die in a matter of days. And the insulin makers and the Chamber of Commerce know that.
Shame.
Shame! Because three companies, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi, have formed an oligopoly whereby they raise their insulin prices in lockstep to the point where 1 in 5 insulin-dependent Americans must ration insulin to survive. And these three companies are motivated by one thing: greed. Patient advocates have collectively raised our voices to establish insulin price gouging as the poster child for outrageous drug prices. And in response, the insulin makers have plastered media with promises of $35 insulin that amounts to nothing more than vicious lies to try to curb regulation. Meanwhile, Americans continue to die because pharma refuses to lower its extortionate insulin prices. I picked up my insulin prescription from the pharmacy a week ago. The price for 7 vials, or 3 months worth, of the insulin I need to live is still $2,267.99. That's immoral, that's inhumane, and that's flat out wrong. So my message to Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Sanofi, and the Chamber of Commerce is: lower your insulin prices or we will do it for you in the form of federal price cap legislation. The 7 million Americans who rely on insulin to live will not stop raising our voices until we no longer have to choose our money or our lives. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Garibay. I'm 22 years old from Austin, Texas, and I'm a senior at George Washington University here in DC. I live with AS, or ankylosing spondylitis, an autoimmune disorder that affects most of my major joints, and I depend on expensive drugs to prevent my spine and hips from losing. In the last 4 years since my diagnosis, my doctors have put me on several biologic drugs: Humira, Cosentyx, Enbrel, Cimzia, each one with a price tag ranging from $5,000 to $13,000 every month. Who can afford that? The manufacturers of my prescription drugs range, but all charge unaffordable prices for the medications that are life-changing for myself and millions of other Americans. Simply put, Big Pharma is abusing the system and taking advantage of patients by preventing drug price decreases or negotiation to protect its bottom line. People like me have no choice but to pay whatever price the company set if we want to continue to live. The new drug price reforms are projected to save patients like me and consumers tens of billions of dollars and will expand access while also ensuring innovation. It will help me have a future I can afford and a future where I can pursue all my dreams without being financially undermined for the sake of my health condition. Patients like me cannot afford to wait any longer. There have already been times where I've had to forego refilling my prescription due to financial difficulty, which is absolutely terrifying. Without my medication, I risk losing my ability to walk. I should be focused on things that matter most to me: graduating college, applying to law school, spending time with my family and friends, not having to constantly worry about affording my treatment. It's time to put patients' lives ahead of drug industry profits. I urge the Chamber of Commerce and other pharmaceutical companies to immediately drop their lawsuits and lower drug prices now. Lives depend on it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Arthur Blair. I work with an organization in Washington, D.C. called Spaces in Action, and also affiliate with Center for Popular Democracy. First, Space in Action is a organization that is work with the grassroots people to help them through what is going on with this prescription drug negotiation that Big Pharma is trying to stop, along with the Chamber of Commerce. First, I want to say that the Big Pharma has proven with this latest action that they put unreasonable profit before the people. They don't mind knowing that people are dying because they aren't able to obtain prescription drugs that would easily save their life and eliminate or ease their suffering. As we gather here today, people are going hungry, losing their homes, unable to work, and families are being negatively affected because of high prescription drug prices. Shame. Now, for me, part of what I'm supposed to do here is to talk a little bit about myself. I am a living example of what's going on, the effect of what's going on now. When I was about 56 years old, I came down with a debilitating disease, and I had to quit my job or had no choice. What you do when you don't have money, and the drug prices are there, what happens? You lose your home, you lose your children, you lose your wife, and you go hungry, and you almost have to prey on other people for your well-being. So I know from personal experience that what Big Pharma and the Chamber of Commerce is doing here today is putting people on the street. They're putting them homeless. And we need to do something about it. We need to all stick together. We need to hold them accountable. And also we need to hold our representatives accountable. Even though the Inflation Reduction Act passed, too many representatives was not on board with it. So we have to work to move them, and we need to not stop from moving them with it. So that's why I'm here today, and I want to thank you for listening to what I have to say, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
In just a minute, we're going to present these petitions to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. But I want to say something before we do that. I want to thank the three of you, Laura, JJ, and Arthur. It's obviously very moving to hear your stories. And I just want to underscore what you said, JJ, that it is a moral disgrace that instead of dealing with your disease and getting the treatment you need, you have to be here. I mean, we like being here. But you should be tending to the things you need to tend to, not having to complain about and fight for the medicines that you need. There is no reason in the world for anyone in the United States to go without medicines they need. There is no reason in the world for any of you, for not one of you, to go through what you're going through. And you, as we know, you're representative of millions and millions of people in this country who are facing, as you all explained, very serious situations. So you inspire us. I appreciate your courage and your eloquence, and you're willing to be here, and you shouldn't have to be here, but we thank you that you are.
So please keep that going for our speakers today, everyone who shared their story, for Rob and Public Citizen, all of the organizations that you see here on this binder who have joined forces to tell the Chamber, drop your suits, drop your prices. This is just the beginning, not the end. In no time at all, we put out the call, and we had over 150,000 Americans sign a petition to the Chamber of Commerce that said, drop your suit, drop your prices. This is absolutely ridiculous. We need to be doing way more than we've accomplished with the Inflation Reduction Act so far, and we're not going to stop until we do so. We have over 150,000 signers on this thumb drive right here. We're going to go attempt. I'm going to walk this over to the Chamber. Sometimes they are not that happy to see me, so I don't know, but we will make sure that our voices are heard by them and all of the greedy pharmaceutical corporations who are literally killing people with high prices. We're not going to stop. This is just the beginning. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And what's a good chant to end on, Rob? What did you say?
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce.
Drop the suit!
Chamber of Commerce.
Drop your suit!
Chamber of Commerce.
Drop your suit!
Thank you so much.